Hey everyone, I'm Jessica with that hashtag show, and I'm here today to talk about Don't Log Off with the team behind the movie, Garrett and Brandon. Thanks for talking with me today.
Thanks
Thanks for
for
having us
having
on,
us.
Jessica.
Now, tell me about your first idea for this movie to do a COVID horror movie where COVID is not the horror in the horror movie.
Well, you're hitting the nail on the head as far as truly COVID is the backdrop of the movie. It's not the main conflict, and that was what we had so much fun with. Quite honestly, is that there was this circumstance that presented itself to us, and our minds just started racing. Truly, we were about a week or two into lockdown, and a dear friend of ours had his birthday party over Zoom. One of those that, boy, I'm sure we're all very familiar with. And we wondered at a certain point, we started to wonder, what if he went missing during that Zoom? We were all stuck at home. Like truly, what would have happened? I suppose that's how bored we were. I don't know what that says about us, but that's where the wheels started turning. And we couldn't have had the idea before because we didn't know that there would be this worldwide lockdown and pandemic. So it was a bit of a lightning in a bottle situation.
Now, did he like get up and disappear for a while, or just out of nowhere you thought, what if he went missing?
I think
I think
ultimately what I think ultimately what happened was we felt removed. There was nothing tactile about that period of time as it relates to us wanting to give one another a big hug. I think it is a very quick what if. The news, especially at that time, was incredibly distressing. I think the world outside was obviously very serious, and we are not interested in trivializing anyone's experience during COVID, but we were the lay people just at home trying to be safe, going to the supermarket and sitting at home, not necessarily knowing what to do. I think the news was quite grim at that period of time. And like any whodunit or like any how done it, like any ghost story, someone goes into an old haunted house and they disappear. I think we felt the reverse was happening, which is we're all at the virtual town square. And if someone goes missing, it's not as if we've gone into a haunted house. It's just they're missing from the virtual town square. That I think was what got the ball rolling. Where would we even start? We obviously would go to their house, but that it was a very organic process of what if, as Brand said.
Nice. Now tell me about practically how you went about shooting this, because I did get to see, since I watched the film, we show a little bit of everybody like on their recording screen. I loved that.
Oh, thanks, Jessica. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that little blooper reel at the end to give everyone a little peek behind the curtain and how we shot this thing because it was sort of wild. This was July 2020 when no one was shooting, and SAG was trying to figure out if we even were allowed to continue shooting, and our COVID officer had just been approved as a COVID officer a week before and trained, and our one of our lead producers, Nicole Smolin, who also line produced this film, she created so many COVID guidelines and protocols that we are convinced, because we had to share all of this, was then subsequently used in all these other productions because we were flying by the seat of our pants, and it was almost like a day to day. Like, are we going to be able to keep filming the next day? It was just such a crazy time to think back on, but we somehow made it through. And then we're so fortunate that our post production partners were helping us with reshoots and pickups, and we went to Chicago to film some, and so we did get to have some days with more practical cinematography with our actors in person on set, which were hugely beneficial to the process and getting those pickup shoots. But it was a lot of experimentation and figuring it out because we had never directed actors over Zoom before, and our cinematographer and sound team, they had never worked with their actors over Zoom to ask them to be their camera ops or ask them to be their boom ops and sound mixers and all of that. So it was pretty crazy, but a lot of fun. Gare, what did I miss?
I think as it relates to that principal photography, I think we were very fortunate. We never intended this movie to come out during COVID, but I think we were fortunate to have shot principal photography during that period of time. So we were able to have captured this footage during essentially the period upon which this period piece takes place. And as it relates to principal photography, everyone's shooting at home. We created with our DP, we created these camera kits, these sound kits. So everyone had a little light box, a little GoPro attached to it, a sound speeder, roughly mirrored the size of a cell phone. We had everyone do a rough block of their walking with their actual cell phone. And then we subbed in our camera rig and had everyone rehearse all of those moves on their own. We would review that footage and try and get it as best as possible. It took roughly twice as long as a traditional, I think, filmmaking setup would have done for principal photography. We also, I think, were very quickly, we divorced ourselves from any illusions that this film would look pretty. Ultimately, I think ultimately, like traditional cinematography is a gorgeous, beautiful art form. I think not necessarily knowing where the camera is pointing can also be quite stirring. I think we all remember, the greatest example of the found footage genre is, of course, Blair Witch, which is tremendously emotionally affecting. Although half the time you're like, where the heck am I? So I think we we obviously we obviously aspire to live in the lineage of a film like that, but I think we allowed ourselves to play, and we allowed the entire team to feel messy too.
Nice. And I think you're right. It's even though cinematography is, beautiful and whatever, it just isn't, it wouldn't be the same if it was, beautiful. Nobody's beautiful on the webcam screen, you know?
Exactly. We're all people. We're all people.
It's true. It adds to it. It adds to it. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
Besides having to sort of send everybody their own kit and get them to do their own filming and sound and all of that kind of stuff, what other sort of challenges did you run into while making the film? I know it's been quite a process because you were filming back in July 2020 and we're finally about to get to see this movie. Everybody's going to get to see it now. So,
Yeah, the challenge is there. I mean, like any film, there are challenges at every step. Every film, as I mentioned, is a small miracle, and our producers are amazing at putting out fires, which were so unique on this project because of the nature of the film. Not just that it's a screen life film, which makes it unique, but also, of course, the way we filmed it was so outside the box, and so I think with post production, truly, some of our greatest challenges were we're trying to find and keep pace with the computer screen and trying to figure out how to keep the computer screen feeling engaging. Because if you think about a computer screen, it is so sedentary, and we were trying to make it feel cinematic and not recycling shots and have stuff feel repetitive. It was really constantly with Eric Vogt Nielsen, our editor. It was so funny because you're having conversations that you usually have on set where I'm talking to a cinematographer and Garrett and I are like, okay, we'd love to do like a dolly zoom here. Well, that's something that we need to get. I guess now with editing, there are ways to to do that in like DaVinci Resolve now, but theoretically, that is a conversation you have on set. We were having those conversations in post production because we're actually able to create some of those shots, including a dolly zoom or two, virtually on our computer screen. And so that was just a whole other process for us to put together and just familiarize ourselves with because it was unprecedented for us at least.
And I think also as it relates to the marriage of principal photography and post, we were interested in executing certain screen life oriented, but we'll say animation style moves that we had never seen before. We were developing effects with our team. I won't spoil it for folks who haven't seen the film yet, but there are certain VFX thing in this movie that we've never seen on screen before that we were pretty adamant we include in the film, and that takes time. I think much like any animation, traditional animation takes a great number of years to execute. I think what was fun is we shot traditional principal photography and then had a separate full animation process on top of it, over which we could play, we could experiment, and we could develop essentially a new set of language and vocabulary within the screen life genre. And that in and of itself was a new challenge every day. Again, as Brand said, so grateful to all of our partners to help us execute. But it was a new adventure every day.
definitely. Now, looking back, since you both wrote and directed these movies, what do you think from the sort of initial ideas that you had to the finished product? What changed the most in the in-between? Either just like
Mm.
practically you couldn't figure it out, or you got a new idea narratively when you saw things coming together?
It was incredibly difficult. It was incredibly difficult to conceive of what life would look like once we returned back to normal. It was. I remember when we first had this idea, we were like, "Are we ever gonna just interact with the world in the same way? What exactly how are we going to re-engage again? Without spoiling anything, we were pretty adamant that we include aspects of the film that acknowledge that life existed before this strange period of time and life will exist afterwards. I think that ultimately was what changed from first idea to ultimate execution. We really wanted to, from a cinematic standpoint, acknowledge a before and an after, and really concretize this as a finite period of time.
Nice. All right, well, now that this movie is finally about to come out for everybody to see, how are you feeling? Last thoughts.
We are beyond excited and so grateful to everyone who has been a part of Don't Log Off's journey. It has grown into a film so much larger and more exciting than we ever could have imagined when we were stuck at home July 2020 putting this thing together. We never would have thought that you would be able to see this film in movie theaters on a big screen because it was so conceived on a small screen. The fact that you can already pre-order it to stream is already wild, and we're just so grateful that we were able to finish it the way that we wanted to and that we could take our time with it, and that it wasn't just pushed out. We really did make the film that we all set out to make, and we're so excited to hear everyone's responses.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for talking with me today.
Thanks for
Thanks for
having us.
Yeah, thank you. Seriously.
All
This was
right.
so much fun, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you and congratulations on the film.
Thanks a lot.